Hello again, Roy.RealEstate here with Coldwell Banker Legacy in San Angelo. And last time I did a little bit on lake properties, and the highlight of it is the most important thing is make sure you have water, because water has a big impact on the value of lake property. So today I want to go into a little bit more detail on some stuff with Lake Nasworthy. Lake Nasworthy obviously centrally located in the outskirts of San Angelo, so it's real popular around here. It's a really nice lake. After they dredged it, it got even better. So, but there's some unique things about Lake Nasworthy. So when Nasworthy was built, the city owned the land. And over the years, it has been a lease on all the lake lots around. So mostly anything adjoining the lake over the years was traditionally leased. But that's been changing in the last couple of years. They've been leased. Sometimes they were at ridiculously low rates. Sometimes they've seemed to be nearly market rates. It's just kind of been wacky. And so when you build a house on property you don't own, everything gets difficult. So one of the things the recent city councils have done, which in the long run makes sense, even if it's a kind of a pain in the short run, but what they're doing is, as of right now at least, they're not renewing any leases. So if a lease is running out, or you need to sell the property, which is the biggest time it comes into play, then you cannot renew your lease. So what you're going to have to do is look at buying the property. So if you're looking at buying lake property, there's a good and a bad to it. The process is straightforward enough. Basically, the way it works is the city can only sell the lot to the person that holds the current lease. So they can't sell it to anybody else, which is a good thing. You don't want them selling the lot out from under you, and then you having to negotiate with that new buyer, new owner. So what they'll have to do when you have a contract to buy a property, that just has to all be figured into it. The lender's got to be on board. Everybody's got to know what's going on. But the process basically is the seller at closing, they'll have a contract with the city to buy the lot, and then they will sell the lot immediately thereafter, back-to-back type closings. They will sell the lot and the improvements, the house and whatever else that's on it. So that's kind of the way the process works. There's a formula that they use for how to figure out the price of them and appraisals that they get. So the city comes up with the value, what they consider to be the value of the lot, and then you negotiate with the seller on what the value of the improvements, the house and docks or whatever else is on there. And so when all that's done, you have a dollar amount that you as the buyer are buying it from the seller. But remember, the seller doesn't own the lot that they're going to sell to you yet. So they're not going to own it until immediately before you own it. So the seller of the house and the improvements buys the lot and then immediately turns around and sells it to the buyer. So it's a little bit of a difficult process, but more than anything, it's just one of those things that everybody had to be aware of going into the process. If you know what you're getting into, it's not a big deal. And then once you've got the property bought, you own the lot, then it becomes a lot easier to deal with. You don't have the vagaries of what a future city council is going to do, what their rules are going to be versus what somebody else's, because it's been a constant state of flux over the years. And so this will give you a solidity of knowing you own the lot. I mean, there are some restrictions on it because it adjoins the lake that the city owns, but at least you know the lot, you know what your payments are going to be, everything is figured on that. So anyway, most of our local lenders in particular, which again I always recommend using a local lender, most of our local lenders know the process and they can help you work through it. So it's just another one of those things to be aware of if you're looking at buying or selling one of those properties. Because again, if you're someone who's selling and you own a leased property, or you have a lease on a property and own the improvements, then you're going to have to go through this process and figure out how it all works too. And it's something to think about too. If you're refinancing or something like that, lenders like to see a fair amount of time on a lease. They're not going to loan a 30-year loan on a piece of property that's on a 5-year lease or something like that. So if you need to refinance or something like that, that's a time that, as of right now at least, unless they change what they're doing, that you don't have much choice but to go ahead and purchase the land. So just something to be aware of. Buyers, sellers, anyone who's looking at buying, selling lake lots needs to be aware of what's going on. And again, there's a relatively straightforward process to deal with, at least straightforward as the city of San Angelo gets. So anyway, if you've got any more questions, give me a call, 325-268-0775, Roy.RealEstate. Thank you.